You're listening to the Platte River Bard.
Hello, and welcome to the Platte River Bard. This is Chris Berger.
And I'm Sherry Berger.
And we are here at Shelterbelt, literally on their stage. We've invaded their stage. And
it's so cozy.
It is very cozy. We got a table and chairs and everything. It's awesome. And we are here with the director. Oh, yes. And her name is Amy Lane. We are here with the writer. Her name is Marie Schuette. What are they directing? And what did she write? Stuck with Lemons. And they are doing it at Shelterbelt. They started yesterday. We're a day late. That's okay.
We're here. We're here now.
This will be out this weekend, of Valentine's Day weekend, and they are running through 3/2. So that would be March the 2nd.
That's what it would be. And it's through Great Plains Theatre Commons. So welcome.
Welcome. That's right. Or actually, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having us.
We invaded your space.
Yeah.
Your set, literally. So this was written, Marie, through the whole Great Plains Theatre Commons, and then Shelterbelt picked it up. Is that how
Yes.
Is that the story?
Yes. So I wrote this play 6 or 7 years ago when my wife and I started on our journey to parenthood. And then I became a Great Plains Theatre Conference Fellow and really started working on the piece in earnest, and they were wonderful to work with. We had a staged reading of it that Amy directed at the Blue Barn Theater in 2022.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Amy, you work at Creighton, and usually
do.
I see your name associated with musical theater. And
Yeah.
this is not necessarily a musical.
I do both. I musical theater, all of it. But yeah, I've done a lot of musicals, especially in my tenure there at Creighton. We have a musical theater program and a theater program, so I do a lot of the musicals there. This fall, I did Monster Songs, which is by Rob Rakicki, who did the Percy Jackson musical. It's probably his most famous work, and it was really fun. But this one, boy, Marie and I have known each other since Marie was but a babe. You were, what, like 18?
18, 19 years old, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And it was, she had a short play that was a part of one of the early Great Plains Theater conferences. And she came in, and I and one of my friends, Sonia Keffer, were lucky enough to be actors in that play. Was it one of your first plays then?
It was the first one act I had ever written, and it was wild. It actually is what introduced me to Omaha, and the reason I ended up moving here, because I am from Michigan, and so I came to Nebraska, and I thought the people of Omaha were just so lovely and kind, had an incredible work ethic, and the art scene here was amazing. And I thought, I want to go back there one day. And now I've been here for 10 years.
And then, boy, since then, and I was an actor in that really early work. But since then she moved here eventually. And there were several plays, and just never worked out timing-wise that we could do something together.
Sure.
And then finally, this in 2022, I was on sabbatical from Creighton, and I had time to work with her. And so when she asked, and when Great Plains asked, hey, would you want to put together a reading as part of a development process, I jumped on it, because it was years since we had met each other, and finally, like, stars aligned, and we could work together on this one. And it was worth the wait.
Oh, absolutely. And the minute Dana Schweiger called me from the Shelterbelt to say, we want to put this on the season, she said, do you have a director in mind? I'm like, I have to have Amy. I'm like, we have to have Amy Lane, and that's that. And and thank heavens, that Amy was available, and we could work together on this, because the play would not be what it is without the work we've done on it together, without your guidance. And Amy is incredible at supporting playwrights who have new work. She's so respectful of the process that you go through. She is delightful when it comes to giving the suggestions and being open as well to the playwright's thoughts as it's going into production. And it's not every director who knows or understands how the playwrights process works and what we need. And so I think GPTC and Amy and Ellen Struve have just been absolutely phenomenal and are the reason that we're here.
Well, and I think Marie, too, I'm going to throw it right back at you, is that Marie is a rare playwright who is so generous with trusting her actors and trusting the whole creative team. Nice. I always like to tell the playwrights I work with, like, hey, this is your script, but this is our production. And so let's play together. And as much as you want to explore, we're open to exploring. And Marie was like, all of it. Let's explore it. Let's see what we can do together. Cool. And just really open about it and really created, I think, a real team safe environment to work on this production. And we became a real family here, and the cast and the crew and everybody here, like we were a real family, like exploring this family that Marie created. And it was just like a really fabulous collaborative experience.
Oh, thank you, Amy. I think it really comes down to, building a team that you trust, right? And I love those happy accidents where an actor says something and you're like, that is so much better than what I wrote. Let's use that. Yes.
That says a lot about you as a writer, that you could recognize that. And you're not just like, well, that wasn't what I wrote, so don't say that.
Oh, you can't.
That's really nice.
The whole point of production and the development phase of the production as well is to explore that and be open to it, because you learn more when you are going into rehearsals about a play than you ever could learn about a piece, when you're writing it. Because, they say, I can't remember who said, kill your darlings, but that's what you have to do.
Yes,
and
you
can't be precious about your work, because otherwise, what's the point of collaborating? You
could write a novel called Stuck with Lemons if you wanted it to be a solitary experience. But this isn't. Like, this is, and it was collaborative from the very beginning. And it was so, I loved that. We did the original development and read it in 2022. We had a public reading at the Blue Barn Theater, and it was so nice to put it away for a while. Mm-hmm. I think we both could come back to it with more objectivity. We had learned things about hearing it in front of an audience in 2022. Mm-hmm. So we came back with fresh eyes and hey, what did we learn from that? Where does it need to go to the next level of being ready for full performance?
Mm-hmm. Did you mess with it between the reading and Shelterbelt? Did you rewrite some spots?
Oh, absolutely.
You did, yes.
Absolutely. So I had come in with a script, some script edits, and then we had another reading with the cast. And then I went back and fiddled some more. And then throughout the whole process, up until a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we were still making changes, because
that's really cool.
The cast was really open with being, forthcoming, having those questions of, can you tell me more about my motivation here, if they were struggling with it, or saying, this isn't quite working, it's not rolling off the tongue, can we look at this? And of course I'm open to that. And the moments where I was like, we need to stick to this, but let's help with the motivation side, or Amy would step in and be like, oh yeah, let's check this out and see how it works this way. It was just a really nice back and forth. And I don't think, I certainly didn't feel at any time like, oh, I can't make a suggestion, I can't make a recommendation, or even when it came down to creating this incredible set, my God, Tim did just...
This is a really neat set. I've been in this space before, and I almost didn't recognize it when I walked in. It was nice job.
Yeah. Well, at one point in the stage directions, there was supposed to be a kitchen, and there was so much food in this show.
Did you write a show with a bunch of food?
I did. And
lemons.
And Amy was like, okay, we'll reel it in. And I was like, yes. And she was like, how, do we need the kitchen? I was like, no, we don't need the kitchen. You're right. We don't need the kitchen.
Get rid of the kitchen.
And it also helps with, hopefully future productions. You want to make a piece that is true to you and true to your vision, but you also want to get it produced, and that's where it's been really helpful to have Amy, to have Jennifer Gilgar, producer, to have our creative team, because you realize where the issues are immediately, and you can remove those barriers to production, and that's exactly what we want to do.
I'll tell you, there's a lot to be said for a one-set play.
Yes.
And I know a lot of directors, especially if they have a smaller space or whatever, that's what they're looking for. They're like, man, I don't want to try to do another set on this stage. Can you just do one?
Well, and I told Marie, boy, if she wants to turn this into a screenplay, which I think it would be a great screenplay, then you can have, you can go everywhere. We can have all of it,
Get the kitchen back in there.
Bring in the kitchen.
The food.
All of the food. Bring it all in.
All of the food.
But
shows with food.
Shows with food. Yeah.
So this show, we didn't really talk about some of the premise of this show.
Yes.
And so what you have out there on the image is a slightly acidic comedy about surviving our families, and how that isn't timely, even 9 years ago.
Or 6 or 7. You can't run.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the premise of the show, maybe where you got some of your ideas and things that you're willing to let go of out into the world until they come see it.
Question that every writer loves. Where do you get
Spoilers,
your
but
ideas?
Yeah. Well, at the heart of this play, it's about families, and it's about the families that you are born into or you are stuck with, and families that you make for yourself. And this is the Lemon family, is their last name. And they're meeting together for an important event, a celebration of the parents. It's like their 40th wedding anniversary. So there's 2 children in the Lemon family, Emma Lemon, and she is newly married to her wife, Kate Lemon. And then the younger brother, Brian Lemon. And Brian Lemon brings a surprise girlfriend guest to this family outing. And so there are some secrets that are revealed and some issues that have to be worked through. And it really is, in one of the best kind of American theater traditions of this like family dramedy of a family trying to work together. How can we be stuck with this? Like, are we going to make lemonade out of these lemons, or are we going to suck on something bitter, right, for the rest of our lives? Yeah.
Right. No, absolutely. And like Amy said, the heart of it is the family dynamic, because I think the family dynamic it's so indicative of where we are, right, in society. If we can, at this microcosm level, be able to solve our problems and find solutions and collaborate to move forward, then we know on a larger scale we can do the same. So I was inspired by my own journey with my wife. Our son is now 5.
Oh.
And so as we were heading into parenthood, I was very excited and also very nervous, as most first-time parents are. And so I just had a lot of things rattling around in my head about that. And this play isn't autobiographical or an expose necessarily, but I think in all of the work that I write, of course, I'm infusing some of my own experience or the people I know. When writing is at its most organic for me, it feels like you're kind of this medium for whatever, right? And your characters are just telling you things. And I really felt that way with this script. I wrote it in about a week at about 120 pages. And every night I was just at this fold-out table in our bedroom, just writing away. And my wife would bring me things and food. And that was so lovely. She just knew. She thought, okay, Marie is in her element with this. Yeah. And she has been so gracious through that process and through this process of production. And so just writing away and I didn't outline it. I didn't really know what was going to happen.
Wow.
And so
your first draft only took you a week.
yeah, and most of my
Wow.
plays, that is not how that works.
No, I would say you had something in you that needed to get out.
It was very, I really enjoyed the revelations that were coming, when Amy was talking about like the secrets and things. They were as much a surprise to me when I was writing. I was like, oh, that's what's happening. Okay, well, that's interesting. I can use that, and then you let it marinate for a little while, and then you go back and you're like, okay, well, some of this is schlock. Thanks, muses. But no, I mean, some of the plays I've written have taken a couple of years or a few months.
Sure.
But this one was just, she was ready. And there were some things that changed. I mean, one of the characters' names changed, and
what was her name in the beginning?
Sarah,
Something like that.
Is it Sarah
and you're
in
like,
Katie?
she's not Sarah.
Yeah.
Like, this is obviously an Emma. And I'm like,
yeah. I was like, she lied to me. So
I'm always amazed when I hear writers say that as they're writing it, they're surprised by what they're writing. It's like, wow, I didn't see that coming. Which I guess I'm not a writer, so it's one of those things
We think everything is planned, so there you go.
in some plays they have to be. It really each piece that you write or work on demands something different.
Sure.
I wrote the book for a musical, and then received a grant and was able to hire 2 off-Broadway, a lyricist and a composer team. And that was a very different experience because I had to put in what we called windows, placeholders for song. And so it had to be very planned.
Yeah.
Then there was a play that I wrote. It was our reincarnation play. It was About Time, a love story between 3 people and sometimes a goose. And so that play, I knew I wanted there to be echoes throughout. And so that one was very planned. I had to rent an Airbnb and, put up all of these sticky notes and Post-it notes and, because that one had a very different structure. So some plays require that. Other pieces, and I know which I prefer to be surprised. I prefer to be like, oh, this is just happening. Yeah. That feels so much easier and more organic to me.
And then it was fun in this process to discover, like after that first draft, like poured out of you in a week, then to go back and look at it, and with an editor's eye, with a different eye, like what is working here?
Yeah.
What does it need? Where do we want it to go? And then to be able to put it away for so long and come back now with full production and to have actors. We started this process with just diving into character. And we spent a lot of just table talk about who are these people? How do they function together? Who do they trust? Who do they not trust? Who are they most afraid of? Who do they go to for comfort? Like, who are these people as a family? And these actors just... It's interesting that they're, it's the first production of this. They're the first actors to fully produce it. So they have ownership over these characters in a really deep way. And that they were a part of Marie's process too, asking about lines, and they were with her when she was changing some things and changing new pages, new scenes and everything. So I learned a whole lot about the play and about the characters from them.
Oh, absolutely. Me too.
Yeah.
Especially our actor George Dippold. He is playing Brian, and he sunk his teeth. I mean, they all sunk their teeth into these roles, but I learned so much about that character, and I was working on a playlist, a music playlist. I like to have those when I'm writing a piece, and then I can share it, if it's produced with the sound designer or the cast, and just say, here's some of what the vibe that went into it. And I had more songs for Brian coming out of this process because I saw a part of him that I hadn't seen before through George's performance. Yeah. And what's really neat too is like you learn about yourself through it as well. As a writer, again, it's a very solitary world that you're creating at first when you're first working on your first draft, but then when they come in with and they bring it to life, literally, you're like, oh, I didn't realize I felt that way about the world, but I see a little bit of my viewpoint in there. Or, wow, I completely disagree with that, and yet my character has that, and I still love them. Fabulous.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What character do you think changed the most?
Well,
Oh, that's a good
I
you go
don't
for
know.
it, Amy.
I might have a different idea than you, but let's see if we do. I think it's the character of Emma, who was she's kind of she's the main character here. This is her house, it's her family that she's bringing in, and she's planned this party for her parents. She's a character who is, she's seeking validation. She's seeking worth from her family. There's a lot of things that are happening that she feels from her parents' point of view, that Brian, their straight son, there's a different set of acceptance than there are for their daughter who is gay. And so, this seeking of approval and this wanting to control and create this kind of ideal family picture is something that's very important to her character. But in the early drafts, she mostly has issues and everything with her father, who doesn't seem to ever really fully accept that this is what his daughter is. Yeah, would you say? Mm-hmm. Okay. And so in the early drafts, I remember reading that. I'm like, Marie, this is great. I think, your best work. I think this is fabulous. But we don't have a scene between Emma and the dad. And we really need to go there.
Yes, I would say yes.
They really, they have issues and we're skirting around it. But we need to go there with that. And she needs, let her be stronger than that. Let her surprise you. Let her find her voice in this play. And I don't know, you went and wrote it pretty fast then, did you? Or were you like,
No, I feel like I took that to heart, and I said, you've got to do it. If you're writing a play about family dynamics, write the play about family dynamics, and you can't be scared to let these characters get hurt. You can't be scared to let them say the wrong thing or the right thing. Right. And so where Amy has really helped as my development as a playwright is I now have a sticky note that I put out every time I write, and it's like, don't be afraid to push your characters off the cliff. And I have to remember that for everyone, because you do want to defend them when you can, and you do want the good things to happen to them, but you have to let those things out and say what needs to be said. So I would agree with you, Amy. I think Emma's the one who's changed the most. They've all developed.
That's what it sounds like. But what you were saying, they really, everybody has come through a lot of development. All the characters.
They have.
It's really cool.
It is. And again, we learned a lot from the actors. You mentioned George, and one of the first things that George started talking to me about, and to Marie too, is that he's like, Brian has ADHD. Did you write that on purpose? Mm-hmm. And I know Marie was like, I didn't know that, but he does. He does. And that made Brian make so much more sense.
And then was able to key into that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And Kate, the character of Kate Lemon, who is married to the oldest Lemon daughter, I remember we were struggling with just like, Kate seems so perfect, and Kate is like, what's going on with Kate? And then we had an actor, AJ Adiambo, come and audition for this role, and when she left the room, both Maria and I went, this is a revelation. I feel like I just met Kate. I get her now from what she was bringing to it. And so Kate, now the way that AJ is performing Kate is different than what I read on the page originally, but it's completely her. It's just her. And so that was interesting. That was fun to discover.
Absolutely. Well, and I think especially when you have a family dynamic play, if everyone has issues and maybe one of the characters' issues are a little more subdued, then it can make them seem angelic in comparison.
Right.
And
Sure.
so you have to, encourage
Yeah.
and there's an
Yeah.
air of authenticity to all of these people, even if they're not all at that scale of
Chaos.
chaos.
Right. Yeah, because
continually.
not everybody. Yeah.
No. And that's what I remember us talking about, like, hey, Marie, let them be messy. Let them be hot messes.
Yeah. Oh,
because
yeah.
that's fascinating. Let them, like, they're not perfect, and let them mess up. We're still going to love them. We're still going to root for them.
Absolutely.
Even if we're going to love them even more.
How many people in
if
our
we
lives,
see
when
them.
you're describing to your friends, it's like, okay, here's this person, by the way, he's a hot mess, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's the majority of
I
it.
know. It's just like it's okay. We love them anyway, but yeah, they
Right.
got some stuff happening, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and it's okay too if not everyone likes your characters. I've written things in the past where, even when I was writing them, I wasn't necessarily crazy about what they were doing, but that's how you know they're doing what they
Yeah.
need to be doing. And I had one friend of mine contact me after a piece that was produced at the Shelterbelt, and she was like, I just did not like him. And I'm like, that's okay.
That's okay.
It's okay. The whole point of theater, the whole point of the arts and film is for us to just witness something on stage, in witness the story that's unfolding. And again, you're not supposed to agree with everything. You're not supposed to love every moment of it. I mean, you do want the production to go off without a hitch. You want everything to be working, and that's what you want to be perfect. It's supposed to bring multiple viewpoints together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point
Yeah.
of it.
It's
So-
like life.
yeah.
You don't agree with everybody
Yeah.
you meet. You don't like everybody you meet. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
how it is, man.
Yeah. And I think that's the best part of this. I think what we really were shooting for here is the audience is kind of witnessing a family just living, and the actors are so natural. Marie has such a gift for dialogue, and it just sounds so natural. It's so organic.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Yes. I did auditions, so
Yes.
I read a handful of pages, and I really enjoyed what I read. So.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
yes.
so organic. And
Yes.
then we created this beautiful house. Tim Combs was our set and lighting designer.
This house.
And it's
is
a
great.
real house. Hannah Clark did all of our set dressing here. And we're just watching them live their lives. And we're like little voyeurs, like peeking in on them as they're just living. Marie has some great scenes where there's overlapping simultaneous dialogue. And this family is just living up here. And we're just kind of, we're lucky enough that we get to kind of peek through that fourth wall and watch them up here just living their lives. And it's fascinating.
Well, and what's great about American theater, especially right now, is that we have so many fantastic playwrights who have gone before, who have really laid the groundwork for realism and very naturalistic theater. I really look toward Tracy Letts. August Osage County is one of my favorite plays.
Okay.
I read
Yeah.
it constantly. I am always just flipping it open. I also do the same with Angels in America,
Okay.
which this play is not by any means.
Fair.
But I learned a lot through them, and also through the writers. Oddly enough, the writers who wrote all of the seasons of the Golden Girls and Designing Women.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jones Hope and Wooten.
Yes.
Yes.
I learned more about how to write comedy.
Yes.
And also how to combine, to make it a dramedy. How do we bring people into these really serious moments and also have that organic levity come about when it needs to? But yeah, I could say that any joke that lands and gets a laugh, I owe to the writers of the Golden Girls.
Hey, The Golden Girls is a great show.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. It's oh my God, yes.
And
No,
so many things they've written.
I got lucky enough. I was able to do a couple of the Jones Hope and Wooten shows. I got to do a couple of the double wide ones. I got to be the same character in both, which I'd never done before. It was tons of fun. I think Jennifer saw me in one of
Excellent.
those. So.
Excellent.
But
fabulous.
yeah, and you're right. It's like the comedy is so much fun and it's so easy. But like we saw in the Golden Girls, they'll turn on a dime and all of a sudden, it's really heartfelt. And it just kind of comes out of nowhere, but it's all out of the situation and all from the characters, which is the best way. It's like your characters are talking to you and telling you that, I guess.
And so I think all of us have had great teachers, whether we've met those people in person. Amy has been a phenomenal, collaborator. Amy has been a phenomenal collaborator. Oh my God. Okay, give me a minute.
Says the writer.
Yeah, that's why I'm not an actor. Amy's been fantastic to work with, but she has also taught me a lot about the art of theater. And I'm sure for Amy, there have been plenty of people along the way where it's like, okay, I can honor what I've learned from those people by putting that in my own work. And so I'm grateful for all the people who have taught us what they've taught us, because now it gets to come out here and our audiences get to enjoy it. And that's so meaningful.
You opened last night.
Yes.
So how did that go? I never get
How
to
was
ask
your opening
this question.
night?
It was good.
It was fantastic.
It felt
really
good.
good.
Yeah, good.
I tell you, Marie and I have said it before, and it's not hyperbole. Like, this has been one of the most fulfilling, most joy-filled processes that I've ever had in my career. And we've really, again, created a family, a little theater family here. Every rehearsal was a joy, and we laughed and we cried and we supported each other. And so then to see them share the fruits of all of this labor that we put into and all the love that we poured into this play, to see the audience just reflecting back that love and support, that was amazing.
It is really rewarding, because what you want is for people to be able to escape from whatever for a couple of hours, in our case 90 minutes, and be able to just be a part of the story. And they were. And I was sitting towards the back, Amy was in the back, and it's amazing to just watch people laugh, and just enjoy themselves, or have those little side discussions when they don't necessarily know who you are, about what's happening, or that's why I love intermissions, is, you go into the women's bathroom and people are like, oh,
this is what they say.
and so you get to hear what's on their mind, and as long as it resonates and it lands.
Theater isn't always like that, unfortunately. I think that we've all had processes that were intense or were filled with challenges for whatever reason. And I don't know, I do theater for these magic moments when we really, it fills your soul.
Yeah.
And that's what, I think we all just strive for. We all want theater to be all the time, but it isn't always all the time.
Not always, no.
Not always, but this one was.
This one was, and I think
That's
it was
awesome.
because of the professionalism of the people who worked on it, from the actors to the to the crew, to Amy, to everybody. We also had an intimacy coordinator, which I've never worked with on a piece before.
First time with okay.
Yeah, but that was amazing.
Absolutely loved it, because it sets the safety, and it sets those boundaries in a beautiful way that actors can advocate for themselves. And I think this is what is a theater family. This is what makes us a functional theater family.
Absolutely.
Is having that safe space, having those boundaries, being able to be authentic, and be present during the rehearsal process.
Who was your intimacy coordinator?
Addie Barnhart.
Okay.
She's also in the play. She's playing Jill, Brian's dentist girlfriend, who he brings to this family event.
Okay.
And she's a colleague of mine. She teaches at Creighton. She's the head of our acting program there.
Nice.
Yeah, and she just did a beautiful job. Like from the very beginning, we set up like we're going to take care of each other here. We're going to work in kindness and consent, and we're going to support and nurture this thing that we all love to do. And Addie was just like great at helping us establish that.
Cool. And it's that language that lends itself to success, no matter where you are, no matter if it's in the boardroom or here in rehearsal space or in your office with meetings, whatever it is. I can now use that language to make spaces safe for everybody. And I think that's fantastic. That's been a real gift of this process too, is we all want what's best for each other and for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And for the piece that you're doing, you want to make sure that you do what's right for the material that you're doing. And I've only worked with an intimacy coordinator once, but I was really grateful to be able to do that. And because we had to have some scenes where me and the female lead had to be we had to be a little smoochy and stuff, and we both had significant others, so we were both kind of weird about it, and man, it was great to be able to have that third party, and with the language and be able to sort of make trying things and even just talking about things or suggesting things like, well, what about this, or what if we did this? And usually they have suggestions too. And what I found out, which I thought was fascinating, is it's the small things that seem to make the biggest difference with that, because we all know what a relationship looks like.
Yeah.
We've been in one, we've seen one, we grew up. And so if they're fakey, we're like, acting.
And this one is dealing with 3 different couples at just different stages in their relationships. We have this couple who's been married for 40 years. We have a newlywed couple who are looking to start a family. We have a couple that has only been dating for 4 months. But she was also great about is physical affection your love language with this partner? And then what does that look like? And how can we be comfortable with each other on stage to communicate how we feel about our partners? Makes it more real and just trust and safe, know?
Yes, especially as a guy. I appreciate it, because I always feel like if I'm going to suggest something, now I'm weird. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm just not even going to say it. You know what I mean? And maybe it needed to be said, but anyway.
Well, and I think too,
because I'm awkward.
Just for the spouses of those actors, for myself, I can just say when I first saw him kissing someone else who, at the time, I didn't know very well, and that person wasn't very forthcoming either with me. I think it really helps if the person that you're acting with and you're being intimate with, that person is outwardly kind to their real life partner, it really does help, because otherwise, I got like butterflies. I just was in my stomach. I was just like, oh, I don't think I can stand to look at this, and I don't think I can do this. And then there was another play after that he was with someone, and that person was very outwardly friendly and introduced herself and was very kind.
It was night and day.
It was night and day.
Yeah, it was night and day.
And so I think when people are first starting to get on stage and they're getting themselves in that situation and they're married or have a long-term partner, I think it's good if you can make sure that you're also bringing that partner into your real life partner into the family.
Oh, absolutely. And I've had stage kisses before. You have as as well.
Yes.
And
before there was such a thing as intimacy coordination, it was,
Yeah.
you know, it's just like, ugh, awful and awkward and weird.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
right, exactly. You're like, please don't put your tongue in my mouth.
Yeah.
Or like chew
Yeah.
gum or something. And also, I have class with you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Or also, I'm gay. Like, good try, buddy.
It's like we did Kiss Me Kate in high school, and Kate didn't want to kiss me. And it's like, come on, it's the name of the play.
Right.
But it does, like the intimacy coordinator desexualizes all of it, and we
so
approach
nice.
it as choreography, like you would do fight
Yes.
choreography or dance choreography, and so it breaks it down into language that we can agree upon, and then creates these repeatable moments that we always know what
Yes.
we're going to do. The actors can advocate for themselves and their boundaries, and so it's agreed upon, and so there's a trust and everything, and then it takes away that awkward weird.
Yeah.
It takes away that we're kissing each other, that feeling, you know.
And it adds so
Yeah.
much, honestly, because
Oh,
it
does.
gives you motivation
Does.
to do even small things like, hold the hand or the way
Yes.
you touch them or how, whether it's the shoulder or whatever. I mean, however, and then you get sort of extra motivation for that. And
Yeah.
that starts to show
Yep.
part of the relationship too. And it's like, well, how are they together? Well, how are they? Like, I think it's
Yeah.
fascinating. You had three different sort of relationships and you had to play at three different periods.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
I think it's really neat.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
differences between,
And I think that's the thing too, is when it comes to the professionalism of it, it's when you're working with people who understand this is an art form, and we are embodying this. This is what we're doing right now. It doesn't mean that we're really feeling these things. I mean, that's what's so helpful.
Yes.
It's the maturity of your actors. It's
Yes.
the maturity of your director.
For sure.
And being like, we're going to tackle all of this head on. And that's not just about, romantic or sexual relationships. It could be, any one of the relationships that happens in this play where it's, if something in your life, echoes or mirrors this,
Yes.
it could be potentially triggering. And what you want it to be is, okay, this is outside of you. It is a part of you, but it is outside of you, and so you're in a safe space to explore it.
Yes.
So like a parent-child relationship or a brother-sister.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
whatever sibling
Yeah.
relationship that might, some elements might echo.
Yeah.
Maybe something that happened, in your family, but that's not you.
Right.
And it's nice to have somebody
Yeah.
that can help you sort of put things in context.
And we never really had to worry about that at all during this process, or at least
No.
if there was
Yeah.
anything, I wasn't made aware of
No,
it.
and they knew that we were going to have Addie there as our choreographer from the very beginning, and so we started and set boundaries and did all of that at rehearsal one. So everybody knew, everybody was on the same page. Everybody knew that they had a voice, that they can speak up about their boundaries. Their boundaries could change, and they had a say in that. Nobody was telling them you have to do this, and it was good. It was really good, wasn't it? It was very cool. Addie does a lot of intimacy choreography. She's been training for a few years, so she's been working like with the Playhouse. She did the intimacy for Waitress and for Angels in America, and she's been working a lot around town because she's just a really great professional at it. Yeah.
that's great.
Good to know.
So tell us a little bit about the actual Great Plains Theater Commons night that you're having. I'm sorry, I can't get the question out.
Sure. Oh, on February 26th.
Yes.
Yeah, so again, because this place started with Great Plains Theater Commons and with Marie as one of their commoners, and this play was developed through Great Plains, this seemed like when Shelterbelt picked it up to fully produce, it seemed like of course this makes sense that they would partner together as institutions. So this is kind of a joint partnered production between Shelterbelt and Great Plains. And Great Plains is, part of their mission is accessibility to the arts. So we agreed from the very beginning that we would have one night that is going to be designated as the Great Plains Theater Night, and it's a free night for people to come. I think it's already, all the tickets might already be spoken for, but yeah. But it's a free night, and that's again important to their mission for accessibility, and so and it's going to be streamed that night too.
Oh, cool.
So again, like accessibility, even if you can't come or if the ticket's already spoken for, it'll be live streamed as well. And I know that there'll be a link that will be available for people. And I know they've invited some of their donors and people that have been a special part of Great Plains from the very beginning to come in and just share. Here's some of the work that we've done developing local works.
Wonderful. So it runs until March 2nd, and it's
Yes.
Thursday through Sunday shows, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
Thursday through Sunday.
and we have listeners all over the world. So if someone wanted to contact you about producing this play, would they be able to find you online?
Yes. You can find me online. I am also, I have some information on the Great Plains Theater website. But yes, please, if there's any interest in learning more, reading the script, I am happy to do so. So
Do you have your own website, or is it like a find you on social media kind of thing?
I have a LinkedIn page where people can contact me directly.
Very
So
good.
I think that's probably the best way to get a hold of me, or please feel free to reach out to GPTC and they can connect us as well.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Well, we're so excited for you. And thank you so much for hanging in there with us. It's been a little bit crazy lately.
Yes.
So we're just glad that we got a chance to talk to you about this.
Yes, on Valentine's Day, she has to run and have a Valentine's Day dinner. So, happy Valentine's
Happy
Day.
Valentine's
Thank you
Day,
so
yeah.
much.
Happy Valentine's
Yeah,
Day.
you
And
too.
you can find more information and purchase tickets at shelterbelt.org.
Sounds wonderful.
Perfect.
Go.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank you. This
Thank
has been
you.
lovely. Thank
Yes,
you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Stuck with Lemons at the Shelterbelt Theatre runs until March 2nd. There is no performance on February 23rd. The ASL interpreted performance will be February 22nd, and the Great Plains Theatre Commons Night will be Wednesday, February 26th. For tickets, go to shelterbelt.org. Thank you for listening and supporting the arts in the Platte River area and beyond. Please subscribe to our podcast so you are sure to catch all of our future episodes and join us on social media. See you next time on the Platte River Bard.